Most of us have been told since childhood to be a good person. We're taught to play fair, be honest, never hurt feelings, and always put others first. But what if I told you that this advice, blindly following the rules of goodness, might be the very thing that keeps you powerless, frustrated, and used by those who see the world more realistically? Enter Niccolò Machiavelli, the Renaissance philosopher infamous for writing The Prince. He's often painted as evil incarnate, but Machiavelli wasn't a sadist. He was a realist. He saw the world not as it should be, but as it is. And in this world, he argued, those who cling to naive goodness are the first to be crushed by those who understand power. Machiavelli's advice is simple but shocking. Don't strive to be good at all costs. Strive to be effective. Because if you only aim to be seen as good, you will fall into traps set by more cunning people who have no issue bending morality to get what they want. Picture the coworker who constantly covers for lazy teammates because they don't want to seem unkind, only to find themselves burnt out and overlooked for promotion. Or the friend who lends money to everyone, terrified of saying no, and ends up broke while others call them so nice. Machiavelli saw that the world rewards not those who are good, but those who are wise about when to appear good and when to stand firm. If you feel a pang of discomfort, that's normal. We're wired to seek social approval, to belong. But Machiavelli reminds us, the herd's idea of goodness often keeps you small. It teaches you to be agreeable, not powerful. To please, not to protect yourself. Machiavelli never suggested you act cruel without cause. He taught that your reputation is a tool. Appearing generous or merciful when it suits you is a strategy. But you must not hesitate to act decisively, even ruthlessly, when survival or success demands it. He wrote, "A prince must appear merciful, faithful, humane, upright, and religious, but must be able to act otherwise if necessary." This is one of his most misunderstood points. He's not telling you to be a monster. He's telling you not to let rigid morality blind you when the stakes are high. In today's world, this advice applies everywhere, in business, relationships, and even personal goals. How many of us have stayed in toxic friendships or relationships because we didn't want to be the bad guy? How many of us accept unfair treatment at work, afraid to speak up or leave because we don't want to seem difficult? Machiavelli would say, if you refuse to protect your interests out of a fear of looking bad, you give power away to those willing to take it. People pleasers believe that endless kindness will earn love, loyalty, or security. But the reality is, predators exist. Opportunists exist. Not everyone will reciprocate your good intentions. Some will only exploit them. This doesn't mean you become cynical or hateful. It means you understand there's a time for kindness and a time for firmness. That's real maturity. One of Machiavelli's key lessons was adaptability. He argued that fortune favors those who can adjust their behavior to match changing circumstances. If you rigidly cling to being good in every situation, you're inflexible. And inflexibility is weakness. He famously said, "He who neglects what is done for what ought to be done sooner affects his ruin than his preservation." In other words, obsessing over ideals blinds you to reality. The world isn't a place where fairy tales come true. It's a place where those who observe, adapt, and act with courage thrive. This doesn't mean kindness has no place. In fact, genuine kindness is powerful. But only when it comes from a place of choice, not fear. Being good because you want to, not because you're scared of disapproval, is strength. Machiavelli's wisdom teaches us to break the chains of compulsive niceness, to become conscious of when you're giving away your time, energy, or boundaries just to keep up appearances. When you stop trying to be good in everyone's eyes, you gain the freedom to live authentically. You start making decisions based on what aligns with your purpose and values, not what wins shallow approval. Ironically, this makes you more respected in the long run. People sense when someone moves with quiet confidence instead of desperation for validation. So, stop trying to be a good person at all costs. Start trying to be a conscious person. Kind when you choose, firm when you must, wise enough to know the difference. Machiavelli's lessons aren't about abandoning ethics. They're about refusing to let the fear of judgment keep you from living fully and powerfully. Remember, being good should be a choice, not a prison.